going on, guys? Good Saturday coming, or Saturday here, rather. Big fight night tonight. Got a nice unification at 140 between WBO champ Maurice Hooker, WBC champ Jose Carlos Ramirez. Um, Good fight, to the unification. I think it's in College Park, Texas. It's going to be on the zone. I want to say Tevin Farmer is on the undercard as the co-main event. Um, he's fighting somebody that's like 46, 1-1, so cool record, but not a big name at 130. But Tevin Farmer is on the undercard. I think it's his last contractual fight on the zone, so I'm hoping if Tevin wins the day and Tank wins the day, then they can unify later on this year. Because I'm not trying to see Tank versus you know Gamboa, who I think is a wash fighter at this stage of his career, or Tevin Farmer versus against another you know, unknown European fighter. I'd rather see them try to unify, which is what the main event is doing. With Hooker and Ramirez, both tall. I think Carlos Ramirez is 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. It's 24-0, 16 knockouts. Um, Definitely has power, tall, rangy. Um, he's actually better on the inside mid range. Maurice Hooker, I think he's only like a half inch taller. I think he's 5'11". He has like an 80-inch reach, which is crazy. I think he's 26-0-3 with 17 knockouts. So I think both of their powers probably close to or about the same. Um, Maurice Hooker's definitely boxed a little bit better his last couple of fights. He duked it out a little bit with Alex Aceto, but his last fight he boxed really well, used a good jab. Um, I think ultimately that's going to be the key to the fight is what distance the fight will be at. If Maurice Hooker is able to keep Ramirez at the end of his jab and the straight right, then Maurice Hooker should, box his way to a decision win. I mean, both guys could. I could see either guy getting dropped, for sure. Because they both have good power, about the same size. Hooker's a little bit taller and longer, but Ramirez is he's definitely going to put the pressure. I actually thought Ramirez probably should have lost his last fight, or at least should have been a draw. I thought Jose Zabita was outboxing him fairly easily the first 5, 6 rounds or so, and then Ramirez in the second half was definitely coming on strong. But I felt like Zapita did enough early on and held on just enough to win. But it was in Ramirez's backyard in Fresno, so close decision win like that typically is going to go to the hometown kid. And you can argue Maurice Hooker, him being the hometown kid in this fight, because Arlington, I don't think it's too far from Dallas, where Maurice Hooker is from. So if it's a close fight, it could be on Hooker's side, which I think it will be a close fight. It's really 50-50, guys. Like I said, I can see both guys getting dropped. I think it's going to be a good style matchup. If Ramirez is able to push the pace versus Maurice Hooker and push him on, basically just push him to an uncomfortable pace where Hooker is constantly on the back foot trying to counter, then that's definitely going to favor Ramirez, and Ramirez could either score a decision or even a late stoppage on Hooker if he's able to sustain it. If he's not able to sustain it, then he himself could get knocked out, caught with something, especially that right hand, and his ass could be on the canvas, and he can be in some real trouble. Because Ramirez is definitely a hittable target, and Hooker does have power. He does have a nasty right hand, but it's really up to Hooker's jab. It's really up to Hooker's jab. If his jab is sharp and crisp, then he can box his way to a decision. If Ramirez can force Hooker into a dogfight, like Sacedo was able to do in spots, then I definitely favor Ramirez. Classic style matchup. Boxer versus the pressure fighter. Um, I'm really not sure who to go with. I didn't like Ramirez in his last fight. but I would also say Ramirez probably has a little bit stronger resume. He beat Mike Reed. Had a tough fight with Cepeda. Beat Antonio Orozco in like a war. Um, of the two, Maurice Hooker, he beat Terry Flanagan, and he beat someone else that was, solid. But I would say Ramirez probably has a stronger resume in terms of who he's beaten. Um, uh, I kind of want to pick Ramirez low key because I'm not. Because Maurice Hooker really does not fight at a fast pace at all. And I think this is a fight where, in spots, Ramirez will be able to push the pace. It's just, I think Ramirez got a strong chin. So, this is really tough, guys. When fights are 50-50 like this, I really don't know who to go with. Like, oh my God. I'm gonna say Maurice Hooker split majority. I'll say split decision. He'll win it at home. It'll be a close fight. I'm gonna say he can do it. I think he hits just hard enough where Ramirez is not gonna go full balls to the wall. I think Hooker has more power than Cepeda. I would say Cepeda's probably a little bit better technically sound as a boxer, but Hooker is good enough as a boxer, and he certainly hits hard enough. So I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna roll with Maurice Hooker in a close decision. Um, kind of like a 7-5, 8-4 type of deal. Um, I see both, kind of like Pacquiao Thurman, where both or one of them will definitely get dropped. But I'm gonna roll with Maurice Hooker. I'm gonna say he gets the job done, close to his hometown. But it'll be a definitely competitive fight. It should be a good style matchup. But Ramirez definitely has a shot, for sure. Um, he'll definitely have his moments. But I'm gonna roll with Maurice Hooker. Um, like I said, probably like a split decision, majority decision. It'll be a good fight though. It's based off Maurice Hooker's, the jab and his counter right. If those two are efficiently effective throughout the fight, and if the fight is slower, it favors Hooker. If it's a fast pace, back and forth, a lot of combinations thrown, that favors Ramirez for sure. So if it's more of a boxing match, that favors Hooker. If it's more of a in the trenches warfare type of fight, I'm a favor Ramirez. But I think Hooker will be able to box just good enough to keep it at distance and make Ramirez get past the jab. So I'm gonna say Maurice Hooker gets the job done, with a split and majority decision. But it'll be a tough fight for sure. Winner, I would suspect, gets the Josh Taylor Regis Pro Grade winner. For undisputed at 140. A lot of these top four are all kind of big. Ramirez and Taylor, I think they're both 5'10". Hooker's 5'11". Prograde's the shortest one. He's 5'8", but he's big and stocky. So he's not a small 140 pounder by any means. All these dudes I could see at welterweight literally by next year. They've. I think Team Ramirez has already flirted with the idea of moving up pretty soon. I think Prograde's already called out Crawford and Earl Spence as well. So um, don't be shocked if all four of these guys, the top four 140 pounders, end up at welterweight by, if not by next year, maybe 2 years from now. I could definitely see, or even sooner than that. But I'm glad, it's definitely a slept on division. All four of these guys are doing what they're supposed to do, trying to unify and become undisputed. I wish other boxers would follow their lead. But it'll be a definitely tough fight. But let me know what you guys think is going to win. I'm rolling with Maurice Hooker, split majority decision. But yeah, drop comments, like, subscribe. Definitely take into the fight. I think it's on the zone. You guys take it easy.